Well, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Brandy and this is the Queen of Skeins. Today I am going to be finally doing a little tutorial for you guys on how to create your Sweet Nothing Scarfette. I'll call it that. So this is a little bandana style or bandana size scarf that you can make. You can crochet this with just one mini skein, a fingering weight yarn, a 20-gram mini skein. And what's super cute about it, you can tie them and do like this number if you want to, just with a little bit. It's not the way that I've been wearing them, but you could do that if you want to. Alternatively, you can place it like this, and I like to take one of my rings and thread the ends through, something like that. You can kind of zhuzh it up however you want. I mean, you could have it like this if you want that, or you could kind of bring it over to the side. You can do it however you want if you don't want to tie it. You can also crochet yourself a little ring. I've seen people do that, similar to what you do in the pressed flowers kerchief. You can also wear these as a bandana style for your hair to be adorable, right? More adorable than my hair, because my hair is a train wreck right now. But lots of things you can do with this, and it's a really great way to showcase one beautiful little mini hank, especially if hand dyed, right? It's also a great way to show that you are a creative person by adding just a pop of something to your outfit, no matter if it's summer, winter, fall, or spring. You can add this and not be weighed down with a lot of heavy crochet or knit, okay? So this is a tutorial. This is a recipe. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to be off on your counts. It's okay. I give you permission. This is the first time I'm trying to do a little tutorial for you guys. This is not for someone who doesn't know how to crochet. I'm not going to be teaching you how to crochet, but if you can single, double, slip stitch, and chain one, and do a treble, you can do this. It's a very easy 4-row repeat, and basically every row is almost the same. So I'm going to walk you through. I appreciate you guys. I hope this helps you. Please be kind. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Okay, hopefully I can do this where you guys can see. As I had mentioned before, this is my first time trying to do a tutorial, and I have limited equipment. Okay, so we're gonna do the best we can with what we have, and hopefully this will be good enough for you guys to be able to follow along and make your own Sweet Nothing. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start with a slip knot, and I'm gonna have you guys chain up 4. You're probably very used to seeing this. We're gonna join it at the beginning chain to make a ring. And we are going to place a treble crochet, 2 chains, 2 doubles, and a treble. So in order to get that, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. This counts as our first treble, okay? Yarn over, go back into the center of the chain, and do a double crochet, and then we'll yarn over, go back into the center of the ring, and do another double crochet. Now we will chain 2, and now we are going to yarn over, back into the ring for a double crochet, yarn over, back into the ring for another double crochet, and now we're going to yarn over twice for a treble. Now, by doing our increases in this way, it's gonna help us get that shape that we want. Because we're limited with a mini skein of yarn to very little yardage, we really want to take advantage of our top of our scarf so that we can get the greatest amount of length so we can wrap it around our neck. So we want our increases to be more at the top, two top edges, and less in the middle, and that gives us the shallow shape. So, you know, you guys can always play and experiment and try to create your own shapes. That's what's fun about this craft, is you can do what you want. But just remember, wherever you're growing the most is where you're gonna get the most, right? So by growing, doing extra increases on our top of our triangle, we're gonna get more length. And by doing less in the middle, we're gonna get less depth. And we could reverse that. We could do more increases at the bottom point and less at the top, and we would get a very deep triangular shape. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we have something that looks kind of like this. Sorry about that. So nothing to write home about just yet. We're just getting started though. So what I'm gonna have you guys do now, this is gonna be an easy 4-row repeat. So once you get the hang of this, you'll have it down and you won't need me at all, but I'm still gonna walk you guys through it several times. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna chain 4. That counts as our first treble crochet, and turn your work. Now, right back into the top of this exact same stitch where you chained, we wanna do our 2 double crochets. So yarn over, yarn over for 2. All right, so now we've got what counts as a treble and 2 double crochets. Now, I want you to chain 1, and into the very first double crochet, I want you to place a single crochet. I want you to chain 1. I want you to skip the next double crochet, and right into the chain 2 space, I want you to place a single crochet, a chain 2, and another single crochet. All right, and we're just gonna do the same thing on the other side in reverse. So we're gonna chain 1, we're gonna skip that first double crochet there, and in the second one, we are gonna place a single crochet. We are going to chain 1, and now we're back to the end here. So here we are going to put 2 double crochets, and a treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over twice, go back into the space, and make our treble. Oops. All right. So this isn't looking all that great yet, but be patient, it'll get there. It's gonna get straightened out here in just a minute. All right. Next up, we are going to chain 4 again. That counts as our first treble. Turn your work and into the top of your treble from the previous. Go on and do 2 doubles. 1 and 2. After our increase, we always chain 1. And in the very first stitch, we are going to put a single crochet, chain 1. We're going to skip the next one, and into the chain 1 space, we're going to put a single crochet. This is our moss stitch rows. Chain 1, skip the last single crochet down there and go into the space in between and do a single crochet, chain 1, skip the next single, and into the center space with your chain 2, we're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And we're going in reverse. So we're going to chain 1, skip that first single crochet and go into the space in between and place a single crochet, chain 1 into the next space, single crochet, chain 1. We're going to skip that first double, and into the second double we're going to put a single crochet, and we're going to chain 1. And we are now at the end. There's our treble, and in the space between the double and the treble we are going to place 2 doubles and 1 treble. 1 double, 2 doubles, and yarn over twice for a treble. And that completes our second official row. The first row was a setup row. So we've now done 2 rows of moss stitch. We're going to do 3 rows of moss stitch, and then we'll put our chain space row. So again, same thing. We are going to chain up 4, and we are going to turn our work. If you guys hear that weird sound, that is my adopted cat friend. And he has airway remodeling, and he makes funny snores and snorts all the time and wheezes and what have you. So anyways, in the top of the chain that where we just chained up our 4, in that same stitch, we're going to go on and add our 2 double crochets. We always chain 1 after our increase. And in the very next stitch, we're not skipping anything. In that very next double crochet, we're going to put a single crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip our next single crochet, and in the space in between, in our chain 1 spaces, we're going to start to put our single crochet. So single crochet, chain 1, skip the stitch into the space, single crochet, chain 1, skip the single crochet into the chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 1, skip this single into the space, single crochet, chain 1, and now we're back to the middle. So we skip that stitch, and right into the center we're going to do the same thing. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. All right, now we're just going to go back down the other side. We start with a chain 1, skip, single in the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the stitch, single in the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next single, and single in the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the single, single in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and then we are back to where our increases were. We're going to skip that first one. We're going to single in the last, or in the second to the last one, chain 1, and now we are to the very end. There is our original treble, the end, and in that little space between, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to put our 2 double crochets, and finish off with 1 treble crochet. Now, sometimes people will say, well, why don't you just do 3 double crochets at the end? And I find that if I do that, I will get a little more of a curve at the top edge of this. It'll just have a little bit more of a curve, but by going with 4 here, it just really kind of flattens out this top edge for me. So that is why I am doing that. And I feel like it just gives it a little more length by doing the 4 or chain 4 or the treble as opposed to the double. So that is why we do that. So we have a very, very shallow triangle right now, okay? So we have completed our first 4 rows. We did our setup row, and then we did 3 rows that are our moss stitch row. So the 4th and final row is coming up, and that will be your full repeat. So I'll go over that with you, and then we will come back together and I will walk you through those 4 rows again, okay? All right, so as with every row, we're gonna start the same way. We're gonna chain up 4. Oops. And turn your work. We're starting off row 4 exactly as row 3. We're gonna yarn over it, and in the top of that same stitch, we're gonna place 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now, we're also gonna chain 1 just as before, and in the very next stitch, we're gonna put a double crochet. Chain 1. Now, we're gonna skip the next double crochet, and in the space in between, we're gonna put a double crochet. So this is exactly as we did the moss stitch row, where we put the stitch, chain 1, skip the stitch, and we're only working in the chain 1 spaces. But instead of doing single crochets here, we are doing double crochets. So I chained 1, and I'm going right into the next space, and I'm placing a double crochet. Chain 1, skip the stitch, double crochet in the space. Chain 1, skip the stitch, double crochet in the space. Chain 1, skip the stitch, double crochet in the space. I know I'm being very redundant here. I just want to be thorough. I'm not trying to be annoying. Skip the stitch into the space. We've got a double crochet. Chain 1. We're back to the center, so we're skipping the stitch, and right into our center, we are going to double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. And now we're going to work our way back down the other side in the exact same way. Chain 1, skip the first stitch, and double crochet into the space. And you're going to do that all the way back to the end, chaining 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip, double crochet in the space, 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 chain 1, skip that double crochet in the second double crochet. We're going to put a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, and in the space between our treble and our double, we are going to place 2 double crochets and a treble crochet. 1, 2 doubles, and then yarn over twice and do a treble. Okay, so even though this is a 4-row repeat, it's almost just, it really is just the same thing over and over. If you think about it, we are doing increases on the ends the same way for every row, and we're doing 3 rows of moss stitch with single crochets, and then on our 4th row we are working just like we do the moss stitch, but instead of using single crochets we are using doubles, and that is what is going to give us this chained row. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this on the completed piece. So we've just completed the very first section there, and then the first little row of eyelets, if you will. So we are just going to keep doing that over and over. And as you can see on the sample, I'm going to lay this out with the hopes that you can see it a little bit better. So on the sample, I have 4 of what we just did. So we're going to do what we just did. 3 solid rows by a eyelet, 3 solids and an eyelet, 3 solids and eyelet, 3 solids and eyelet. And then I do 3 more solid rows and a picot edge. Now, this will use up an entire 20-gram mini skein, okay? So it's a mini gram skein project. Of course, you can just use, I had some leftover fingering weight, but just so you know, 20 grams will get you here. You'll have a little bitty bit of yarn left over, or at least I did, and I know everyone has different gauge, but I believe most of us should be able to get through this. Plus, in my experience, most mini skeins come with a little bit of extra. But I think this used about 17 or 18 grams. So that should give everybody a little wiggle room for different gauge. I'm gonna continue on. I wanna walk you guys through this one more time, just so we really know like we know. And then I'll let you guys continue on your own to do your 4 total sections. And then we will meet back up and do the picot edging, okay? So back to our project. We've completed our first section. We're going on to the second. So we want to do 3 more rows of moss stitch. We're going to start out with our increased row, so we are going to chain up 4. I'm going to go a little faster this time, guys, because I think you're probably getting the hang of this, and you're probably tired of hearing me say every single stitch. If you're not tired of that, you can always rewind back and just watch the first 4 rows again, because we're just going to be repeating them. You can also always click on your little gear and either speed me up or slow me down. I just want this to be usable for anyone. Obviously, I'm not teaching you how to crochet in this video, but there are so many wonderful videos on YouTube that do that. So, but I still want it to be something you can easily understand, I hope. Okay, so we've chained our 4, and into the top of that same stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets. 1, 2. As always, after our increase, we chain 1. Into the very first stitch, a single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. Whoops. And go into the space. And we are going to chain 1, skip our double crochets, and into the space, we're just going to do our moss stitches. And that's all we're doing across this row. Chain 1, single. Chain 1 and single in the space. Picking up some cat hair. If you have ever been on my channel before, you'll know I foster cats. We have cats around, and that means we have cat fur. All right, so I'm gonna work my way up. I'm almost back to the top. This is the easiest row because the chain 1 spaces are so big since we were doing doubles instead of singles on this row. Okay, we're back to the top of the triangle, and as we always do, we chain 1 and we go into the center with a single, a chain 2 for the point, and a single. All right, 1/2 done. Do it again in reverse. Chain 1, skip. Single in every space across with a chain 1 in between. All right, chain 1. Got my little stuff here. I'm to the very end again. I've got my 3 end stitches, my last post there. I've chained 1. I'm going to skip that final double there and go into the space with a single. I'm going to chain 1. I'm to my 2 doubles in my treble. So in the very first double, I'm going to put another single, chain 1, skip my second double crochet, and in this space in between my treble and my double, I'm going to put 2 doubles and a treble to finish this off. We're having a little visitor. I'm not sure if she's going to come up here in between us or not. We'll find out together, but Mama Cat has come to join us. What are you doing, little mama? Oh, she's a good mama. She's the mama to the foster babies, and she's a real sweet lady. Oh, she's such a good lady. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, that was row 1. Row 2, chain 3, or chain 4, sorry. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Counts as our first treble, turn, and in the same space, 2 double crochets. That's what I love about this pattern. It is the same thing over and over and over and over. But you get variety in the look of it, right? Okay, we always, oh goodness. After our increase, we always chain 1. And we're going to, in the very first stitch, we're not skipping on the very first one. We're gonna single crochet, chain 1, skip that and go right into the space for our moss stitch. We're gonna moss stitch all the way up by chaining and placing a single crochet in every space in the row below. All right. Oh, Mama's making biscuits. That's wonderful. I only just recently have brought everyone out of the nursery, and the babies now are in their little playpen in my living room so I can keep an eye on them. And Mama can get in and out of the playpen all by herself so she can get away from them for some breaks, which is nice for her. All right, we're back up to the center of the triangle. I've gone into that last space there. I've done my single, I've chained 1, and now in the chain 2 space at the top of the triangle, same as it ever was, single, chain 2, and single. Chain 1, skip the first single, and in every space down the row, we're going to put our singles and chain 1s all the way down. I hope this comes out good enough for you guys to be able to see it. The way that the camera is having to be positioned, it's difficult for me to see if I'm in frame well. We hope so. Be gracious with me. It's my first tutorial. And like I said, I apologize to brand new crocheters. I am not equipped to do a tutorial on teaching how to crochet, but I just thought I could maybe do good enough for those who already know the basics to follow along. All right, so we're at my last space before my 2 doubles and trebles, so I'm going to go ahead and put my last single crochet there, chain 1. I say my last single crochet in the space, chain 1, skip that guy and go to the second one, the second double crochet, put my last, this is really my last one, chain 1, and now in the space between, we're doing our 2 doubles and our treble. All right. Okay. So now we have completed 2 moss stitch rows. We need to do 1 more moss stitch row. So on to row 3, we start with our chain 4, turn our work, and put our 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Chain 1, and into that first stitch, we do go ahead there and put our single crochet. Chain 1, we skip the next one, and we start working in the spaces. We're gonna moss stitch all the way back up. So a single in every chain 1 space and chain 1 in between. One of the babies is making a very funny squeaking sound. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, chain 1, I almost messed up. I almost tried to do a double in there. All right, so we are back to the center. So I've done my single, chain 1, and in this point, I'm going to do single, chain 2, and a single. And guess what? We're gonna do the same thing all the way back down. So just moss stitch all the way back down. And like I said, if you preferred that stitch by stitch, play by play, you can always go back and watch me do these first 4 rows the first time. But I bet that most of you have got this by now. All right, so like I said, easy peasy. Anybody can do this. You can. If you know how to chain and do singles and doubles, you've got it. All right, I'm back to my 2 doubles and my treble. So in that very first double, I've chained 1 here. After this single, I'm going to go on and put my single crochet there. Oh, whoops, I'm lying to y'all. Look at me messing up. Okay, in my last space, I put my single crochet. I have chained 1. I'm going to skip that first double crochet, and in the second double crochet, I'm going to put a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, and in the space in between the treble and that double, I'm going to put 2 double crochets and a treble crochet to finish the row off. All right, so that was row 3. So the 4th row is going to be our eyelet. Whoops, it's going to be our eyelet row again, which we do the exact same way as our moss stitch row, but instead of doing single crochets for our moss stitch, we will be doing double crochets, and that gives us that extended look. So exactly the same as row 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 4. We're going to turn our work, 2 doubles in the same stitch. We always chain 1, and in the very next stitch, we are going to put a double crochet. We are going to chain 1. We are going to skip the next double, and in the space between, we're going to put a double crochet. And now we're going to continue all the way up by chaining 1, skipping the stitch, and putting a double crochet in every chain 1 space until you get to the top of your triangle. Don't forget to put your chain 1 spaces in between. That way you get your nice eyelet look, or holy look, whatever you want to call it. All right. Okay, so this is going to get you guys through. You have seen me do the first 4 rows, and then the second 4 rows again. And like I said, you guys are going to continue by doing, just repeating what we just did exactly, as a matter of fact. So you're going to make 2 more sections of this. All right, we're back to the center. So I've chained 1, I'm skipping that last single, and I'm going right into the top by placing a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Chain 1, skip, and make my way down. So what I'm going to do with you guys, I'm going to get you back to the end, and then I'm going to leave you, and you are going to do 8 more rows of this repeat by doing the 3 moss stitch and 1 row of eyelets, and then you're going to do it again. You're going to do 3 rows of moss stitch and 1 row of eyelets, and then 1 more time you're going to do 3 rows of moss stitch. And that is where I will pick up with you guys, and we will talk about how to do the picot edge. Now, this is one of the things also about this pattern that really does take into account everybody's gauge, because there may be some of you that have a very loose gauge, and maybe you just don't have enough yarn to make it all the way up and down your edge. This scarf will look perfectly fine, just ending on the moss stitch edge. It'll look perfectly fine without the picot. But if you do have extra yarn left, and I think probably most of you will, because I'm a bit of a looser crocheter, then you can put that picot on if you want to. You might not even like the look of the picot, and that's fine too. All right, I'm in my last chain 1 space before my increase. So I've put my double in, I'm chaining 1, I'm skipping that first double crochet and into the second double crochet. I'm gonna put a double crochet, chain 1, and now in my space between my last 2 stitches, I'm gonna put 2 double crochets and a treble. All right, guys, we have finished 2 full repeats on our beautiful little Sweet Nothing. Look at that. It's coming together very fast. It's taken me 24 minutes to show you guys this, and I could have got it done, you know, twice as fast if I wasn't talking and trying to demonstrate and what have you. You can make this whole thing in less than an hour, honestly. It's so cute, and it makes a precious little gift, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to showcase your amazing skills by putting a pop of color with any outfit, anytime, and showcase those really cute, beautiful mini skeins you've got. And it's summer or winter. You can pop this on in the summer. It doesn't really add a lot of warmth because it's holey and it's very small. I will have shown you at the beginning of this video some of the ways in which I recommend styling it. I don't like to tie it. I like to use a ring, but you can do whatever you want. So you guys go on and make 2 more repeats so that you have a total of 4 eyelet rows, and then follow that up with 3 more rows of moss stitch and meet me back. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, I have just completed my 4 repeats of rows 1 through 4 and finished off with 1 more repeat of rows 1 through 3. So I've got 3 rows of moss stitch on the end. Now, as I said before, you can stop right here, and depending on your yarn tension and what have you, this may be where you need to end. But if you do still have some additional yarn and you want to go ahead and add the picot, I'm going to show you how to do that now. But it does look quite nice just with the moss stitch edging, okay? So if you're going to continue on, we were just going to go put our hook back in. We have a visitor. Hi, friend. That won't work, buddy. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oh, boy. This is our Weezer. This is our growly Weezer. I'm sorry to inform you, sir, but we're in the middle of a tutorial, and I must ask you to leave. Just for a little bit, and then we'll have cuddle time. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's come this way. Here we go. Can we go, just go right over there. There you go, buddy. Just lay down right there. There you go. Okay, well, I'm gonna pause this for a minute and I'll be right back. All right, I think we've got friends sorted. And now I think the foster kittens are gonna get really excited because the mama just got in with them, and they're all gonna scream at her for a minute. So if you hear them, I hope that's okay with you. Okay, back to what we were doing. So we have completed our 3 rows of moss stitch. We're going to start out just like we always do. We're going to chain 4 and turn our work. And once again, we are going to do 2 double crochets in the top of the stitch below. And as we have been, we're going to chain 1. Now, in the very first or the very next double crochet, we are going to put a single crochet. We are going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next double crochet, and here's where things are going to get a little bit different for us. Normally, we would go into this space and do a single crochet. This time, we're going to go into this space and we're going to do a slip stitch instead. Okay, now we're gonna chain 1, and in the next space we're gonna do a single crochet as we always do for moss stitch. So we've got a single crochet, and now we're going to chain 2, and we are gonna go into the base of this single crochet. So I've got my chain 2, and I'm gonna kind of turn this so you guys can see. I want you to take your hook and I want you to go into the base of that single crochet right there, just at the bottom of it. And I want you to grab a piece of yarn over, pull through that loop and pull it through the loop on your hook. You're slip stitching that chain 2 to the base of the single crochet. Okay, now we're gonna chain 1, and we're following the moss stitch pattern, so we're only going to be stitching into our spaces here, but we're alternating single crochets with picots, and then the next we do a slip stitch. Okay, so we've done a single crochet with a picot on top, we've chained 1. In the next space we're going to slip stitch into it. We're going to chain 1. In the next space we're going to do a single crochet with a picot on top. So we single crochet, we chain 2, 1, 2, and then again I'm going to kind of turn this where you guys can see just in the base of my single crochet and the left leg of my V there. I'm putting my hook under, I'm yarning over, I'm pulling up a loop, and I'm all right. So my camera died. I'm back. We're chaining 1. We just completed a single crochet with a picot on top, chaining 1, slip stitching into the next space, chain 1, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, chain 2 on top of that, slip stitch into the base of that single crochet for a picot, chain 1, slip stitch in the next space, chain 1, single crochet in the next, chain 2, slip stitch into the base of the single crochet for the picot, chain 1, slip stitch. So this is all we're going to do. We're going to continue to alternate slip stitches and chain 1s, and then single crochet with the picot on top and chain 1. Alternate all the way down the edge, and I'm going to meet you when we get to this corner. Okay, I'll meet you up at the corner. All right, so I'm coming up on my corner space here. I have completed a picot and a slip stitch. I'm going to skip this next one, and in my last space before the corner, for me, the way that my math worked out, I am doing a single crochet with a picot because that's what I'm supposed to do next. If yours is the opposite to where this is a slip stitch, that's fine too. Do not concern yourself with that. It doesn't really matter, okay? Just go with the flow, keep it going in order. Single crochet, slip stitch. Wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. The last thing we're gonna do after I have made my picot and I've slip stitched in, I'm going to chain my 1, and I'm gonna jump into my corner space now. I am going to do a single crochet. I'm going to do another single crochet with a picot on top. So chain 2 and slip stitch into the base of that. And a third single crochet right here. And that's it. We're just giving it a little bit of shaping there. Now, whatever you did in your first chain 1 space on this side over here is what we need to do on this side over here. That way it matches on both sides so that everything is symmetrical. Because my last chain space had a picot in it, that's what I'm gonna do right here. So I'm gonna do my chain 1, and I'm going into that space, and I'm gonna do a single crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch into the bottom of that. So that way I've got my picot. Now I'm gonna chain 1, and into my next space, I'm going to slip stitch. So this is just a really loosey-goosey kind of pattern, guys. You don't have to be perfect. This project doesn't need you to be perfect. So I think on this one, for whatever reason, when I did this one, I had the opposite situation happen. I had a slip stitch right before my increase point. Oh well, it's fine, doesn't matter. It's gonna look good, it's gonna be cute. Just whatever you do on this side of the point, do the same thing on that side and you'll be fine. I'm going to continue down this edge just as I did over here, and I'm gonna bind this off, and I will meet you guys back up when I'm done. All right, I have gotten back to the end. I just did my final single crochet with the picot on top before my 2 doubles and my treble at the bottom. So now I'm going to chain 1, and in my last double, I'm gonna go on and do a single crochet, or single crochet, and I'm gonna leave that, and then I'm going to do a 2 double crochets and a treble. So however you end up on the end, just make sure it looks the same as the other end. So if you had, so you can see I kind of have nothing, and then I've got a picot here. Let me hold this down where you guys can see it. I'm sorry, I'm learning. So I've got my first picot about here. On this end, same thing, got all that increase, and then we have our first picot here. It's very easy. This is kind of a fly by the seat of your pants recipe, okay? So now I am just going to chain 1. I'm going to cut my yarn off with a nice tail that I can weave in. And I'm done. I just need to sew in my starting and my ending. And I have my adorable little Sweet Nothing. It's complete. And I'll model all the fun ways you guys can wear this, probably at the beginning of this video. All right, thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye.